Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. Let's talk about the two things every parent craves but rarely gets: a full night of sleep and a minute to themselves. In this episode, we are pulling back the curtain on what training looks like when you're living in the chaos of parenthood. When your recovery score is a joke, your toddler is your alarm clock, and the only time you get to yourself is during a 30-minute workout with one eye on the baby monitor. We'll unpack the myth of optimal training when you're chronically sleep deprived, why most fitness advice doesn't translate to parents, and how somehow movement still becomes the glue that holds us all together. This is not about guilt, it's about grace, grit, and finding power in the pockets of your day. So let's get into it.
Grit and grace, baby.
Grit and grace.
Yeah. I feel like, much of this conversation I think might relate to the do it tired mantra. But anytime that I post about that, it's not uncommon that someone reaches out and is like, well, how tired should I be doing it? Like, what's the line? And Alessandra, I know you talked about this recently too, of there was a day you chose sleep and you're like, I slept in. What is that line for people? And for me, it's very hard to tell someone like what. I can tell you what my line is, but like, I don't know what too tired is for you. So this conversation is always, I feel like, a little bit difficult because there's the way in which we function is typically like, do it anyway, do it tired. But we do have a breaking point in which we might say, I'm going to choose that extra hour of sleep today. And again, grit versus grace. Grace is that self-compassion. I'm going to choose that extra hour of sleep. Grit is the follow through. I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do it during nap time, or I'm going to do it whatever. So I think it's just an important part of the conversation is like, look, we can advise you as best we can here, and we can certainly share how we typically do things. But like, my do it tired may be very different than your do it tired.
Yeah, it's definitely season dependent too, and it will probably shift. Like, your line is even going to shift based on what season that you're in. For example, like, I'm in a pretty good flow right now postpartum. I'm 6 months postpartum this week, which I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, me either.
But last night, or I should say a few days ago, Cora likes to lick things, just windows, mirrors. I mean, she's just shoving dirty feet in her, like, it's just, she's in a terrible stage of that. So she woke up with a little cold 2 days ago now, and now I have it. And last night I like could not fall asleep. I knew as I was going to bed, like, I was so tired. I could feel like, just, you know, when you just feel it starting to come on and you're like, lovely. So I was trying to go to sleep. It took me forever to fall asleep. I finally fall asleep. Wes, who has been sleeping through the night since like 3 months, woke up overnight crying, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, is he going? And then you like start thinking like, shoot, is this a sleep regression? Like, what's happening? He woke up with boogers today, so I'm sure that's why he woke up crying. So it was just like an off night of sleep, and I had a speed run planned for 5 a.m. this morning, and at 3 a.m. when he started crying and like I got up to down some Manuka honey, I was like, I'm turning my alarm off. Like, it's just not going to happen tomorrow, and maybe I'll try to do it later depending on how I feel, but we're not waking up at 5 after this night of sleep. And I think that's just a great example of like, you have to figure out where that line is per the season, but also like, if it's just a one-off day, like, sometimes you don't have to push through it. Like, it is okay. Yeah. It all really is relative based on what is going on. And I agree with you, Joelle. Like, yeah, most of the time we are the people that are like, we're going to do it tired. We're going to push through. We're going to use that grit, but we still know when to pull back. And I think that really is a skill. It's not something that we can just tell you like, here's the list of when to do it tired. Here's the list of when you should pull back. It's really like a skill to know your body and to practice what that means. And I think that the practice part of that is essential to really figure out how you draw that line and what you deem grit and what you deem giving yourself grace.
And you can't even necessarily just go by the numbers. Like, when we talk about getting up, getting it done on 6 hours of sleep, if that's all you can manage right now, it's still important to get the workout in and all the benefits of that. At the same time, there's a study that compared people with less than 7 hours a night with people getting 8+ hours. And those who are under 7 hours were 3 times more likely to catch the common cold. So it's a single night of bad sleep ramps up your ability to get sick a whole lot easier. In regards to the immune suppression even further, Just a single night of 4 to 5 hours cuts your natural killer cell activity, which is like the frontline soldiers of your immune system, by 70%. So your chances of getting sick, obviously, through those two statistics alone, skyrocket. Now, granted, if you have the just the wherewithal to realize, okay, my baby's sick, I had a terrible night of sleep, I should sleep in. Like, that's one thing. It's pretty cut and dry. It's a good idea to sleep in. Versus, like, on a regular basis, it is literally impossible to get more than 6 hours and 30 minutes a night. I understand all these other things are affected. Do I still need to get up and keep that routine because mental health and being able to train and all these other things? So, on the one side, yeah, how are you feeling? On the other, it's like you feel like it's a lose-lose decision, like whatever way you turn. And that's why, sleep aside, all these fitness concepts become so overwhelming and so confusing, and it's just debilitating in a sense. People choose no action because they cannot figure out for the life of them, even with a solid amount of common sense, which action is the right action, which I completely understand that frustration.
I know for a fact that before I was a parent, I was of the mindset like, oh, anything less than 7 hours of sleep, like your lift is just going to waste. You're not going to be able to recover from it. And I apologize to anyone who was a parent at the time who followed me when I said those things. Like, it's right along the same lines as like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Like, the stuff that you maybe used to say pre-parenthood that you're like, wow, someone should have slapped me across, a parent should have slapped me across the face. That's how I feel now about the like, oh, anything less than 8 hours, anything less than 7 hours. People don't need further reason to not exercise. The barrier already feels so high for people. If we now tell them all the stars have to be aligned with the pre-workout meal, with the timing, with the alarm set, with the amount of hours that you had of sleep, with the amount of deep sleep you got matched with your readiness score, like, we are only making it more complicated for people to just do it and get moving or get started. And so while yes, sleep is extremely important, and we obviously want to promote great sleep quality and good sleep duration and sleep regularity and sleep consistency, sleep hygiene is massive. We absolutely need it. And also, most people could benefit from getting up early that extra hour and choosing the workout, especially if you are sedentary. If you're dropping an extra hour of sleep to add in movement and you were otherwise sedentary, I would argue that's actually the person who is going to benefit most from dropping that extra hour of sleep.
I agree. And I think we can kind of pivot the conversation, and we talk about this all the time, but let's pivot to, yeah, we get up early, but we're going to bed freaking early. Like, how many of you finally get the kids to bed? Maybe your kids go to bed later than ours, or whatever the case is for you. And then you sit down, you finally have a few minutes to yourself. You get the house tidy. You want to scroll. You want to watch Netflix. You want to watch YouTube, whatever it is. And I totally resonate with that. Like, I get that you finally get a moment to yourself to like focus and like maybe watch something that you want to watch. But is that helping you or harming you when it comes to your overall goals and overall what makes you happy and what overall makes you thrive? And I think, it's fine to sit and watch maybe an episode of a show or half an episode of a show. Lately, we've been watching, we for a while didn't watch any TV. And we would just kind of get in bed and read. And lately we've been watching some YouTube just to kind of broaden our marketing and kind of get inspired by people in the industry and people outside of our industry. And it's been kind of nice to just chill and sit and watch something together. But we're also not doing it for more than, maybe like 30 minutes max.
Yeah, they're mostly 15, 20 minutes, and then
it's just one. Yeah, it's just one. And I think it can, to that point, it can suck you in, and it can be so easy to get sucked in and stay up an hour later, even half hour later than you really need to. And that really does make such a big difference. Like, I think personally for me, there's some times where we do stay up a little bit later, whether it's a Friday after a long work week or whatever. And even just a half hour later than my normal bedtime, I notice such a difference in how I feel in the morning. 30
Makes
minutes.
such a difference.
And you would think that would be like negligible, like not a big deal, but it really does make such a difference for me.
Let me tell you what wrecked me. So last week I was in Dallas, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's only an hour earlier there. But when you are so regular with your sleep and wake times, that extra hour was killing me. Like, I was getting in bed, at my normal-ish time for Eastern time, but it was a little bit later their time. And I'm here, I'm visiting. I don't want to go to sleep at like 8 o'clock at night. Like, let me at least wait a little bit. And so I was up a little bit later. And even though I was able to like sleep in a little bit more because I didn't have to be up at 5 to like go to the gym before the babies wake up and all, it just still like my numbers were not as good. My HRVs tanked, my sleep scores tanked, even though I was probably still getting 8 hours of sleep, but I was just kind of off schedule and going to bed later than usual. And it completely, I still feel like I'm a little like jet lagged almost from it, which is ridiculous. And also I'm going to California in 2 weeks and that might kill me. I might come back with the flu from a 3-hour time change.
That is a hard one, I will say,
Yeah.
as people who used to live there and come home for visits. Like,
Ugh.
I do think it's harder coming here. Would you agree?
Coming to the
I
East
think
Coast.
it's hard both ways. Like we did the honeymoon in Hawaii, and like it's such an amazing place. And this is in the midst of my health struggles, so it was like I'm fighting sleep, I'm fighting my body, I'm enjoying where I am, but I'm like so ready to go home. In the midst of my struggles with Barrett's esophagus, home was my safe place. So anytime we went anywhere, whether it was a couple hours or like flying to the most remote island in the world, I just wanted to be home. Like that was always in the back of my head. And it was such a detriment to everything else. But yeah, you talk about a couple hours, an hour, anytime you get knocked off that routine, you don't, if you're healthy and you're in good health overall and you're fit and like it doesn't knock you off as much as me when I was struggling with levels. Like, Joelle, you're a little bit tired, a little bit jet lagged. It's going to last a week and you'll be good. I would spend a month trying to get back into my rhythm and like get back to manageable. So when your health is off, long story short, what I'm trying to get at is you're so much more sensitive to the power of sleep. If I got less than 8 hours in the midst of that journey, I felt horrendous. So I understood what was happening during sleep. My body was repairing itself. I was healing to an extent where I could survive the next day. If I get 6.5 hours, guess what? You're not going to see me at that time. Obviously now I'm doing a whole lot better, but it's one of those things that, we're not thinking about longevity when we're in our 20s. We're not thinking about, improving our hormonal health in our 30s necessarily. It doesn't bother me right now. These habits aren't going to affect me right now, but they do. It's all cumulative. And you talk about sleep to bring it all the way back. It's not just something where, I'll start sleeping 7 hours a night next week. Like, that'll be fine. I've been sleeping 5 hours a night for the last 10 years, but starting next week, everything's going to be fixed. It's a cumulative effect. You're basically borrowing that. You're creating sleep debt and you're paying interest on it. And that's why we see things, coming up later. Increased cortisol, belly fat. Where did all this come from? Slower reaction times, impaired decision-making in the short term, worse cravings with our diets, reduced testosterone and growth hormone over time. Some of these you're going to feel instantly, like being in a bad mood. Some of these are going to be longer-term detrimental effects that we don't see until it's too late. Like, we understand we're off a little bit, or maybe you're one of those people who's like, nah, I can thrive on 5 hours. Well, you've got some energy, but you're not thriving. Get some blood work done. See what that looks like. And there might be a few genetic freaks who you are okay, but you are in the vast minority. 95% of us, even if we feel okay, you're still having negative effects accumulate behind the scenes, which can be scary when they do come back up later on. Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show.
It makes me think of how we'll often get clients, like clients will sometimes, our one-on-one coaching clients will sometimes put this in their client testimonials or when they're giving their coaches feedback. And I cannot tell you how many times I have heard a client say, wow, I didn't know how bad I felt until I knew what it felt like to feel good. And now I don't know how I was living like that.
Mm-hmm.
You were about to say the same thing?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
I
true
feel like
though.
we
Like
hear that you just get
that's
so
your
used.
norm. That is
Right.
your norm.
You
And
get
you
so
think
used to
that,
your day to day.
okay, I feel decent, like whatever, it's fine. And then until you start to actually feel good, it's like, whoa, that is terrible. I relate it a little bit to pregnancy too. I know, Joelle, you for the most part feel really good by the end of pregnancy, but for me at the end of pregnancy, it just becomes your norm at that point. You were pregnant for so long at that point, and you like I don't feel great, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, I love being pregnant. And it's like, it almost just becomes like that is your new norm. But we know when you look at like the biomarkers of pregnancy, like your resting heart rate typically goes up, your HRV is trash. Like everything is just opposite of what it usually is if you are somebody who started at like good health. And I think that's just kind of a great example here too, is like you kind of just get used to operating under the conditions that you're in, and then you have the baby and it's like, whoa, it's like your HRV
Oh my God.
shoots up, your
Yeah.
resting heart rate immediately drops, and
Right.
you're like, wow, I forgot what it feels like to feel like this.
I
Yeah.
think that's such a pull, like with modern day life right now. I go to Starbucks because we ran out of coffee. We've been like buried in work. So I've been going to Starbucks the last
Josh is
couple
a
days.
coffee
You
snob.
drank Starbucks coffee as a
I
coffee sommelier?
He
had to.
bought
I
two
I'm
bought
bags.
appalled.
So I go to Stop and Shop, right? I usually go to a roaster. It's about a half an hour away, but I have like not left our circumference of 5.5 miles in 2 weeks. We've been grinding. So I'm like, let me just grab some Starbucks espresso beans at Stop and Shop. Go home. I drink half of my cortado. I'm like, this is
This sucks.
disgusting. It tasted like bug spray. I'm like, what? Did I do something wrong? Did I leave soap in my cup? Like, this is horrible. She hated her latte as well. So I'm like, whatever. A couple days we go to Starbucks. I did just an Americano, like whatever. Make fun of me. It's fine.
Get a matcha.
No, I'm hooked. I'm hooked on my routine. So anyway, I go in there and it's like, let me take a step back to preface this because it's going to need some strong prefacing. I'm not being
Boy.
I'm not being judgmental.
I already know where this is going.
I'm trying to transparently speak upon what the population looks like. There's a pretty decent line in front of
You're
me.
just observing.
I'm
rather than
observing,
maybe,
and I'm going to make my point with the one time I entered society in the last month. This is the point I'm going to make. At a somewhat fast food retailer, whether you want to actually classify Starbucks as that or not. They are a little bit confused, staring at the menu that they've been staring at for 10 minutes. By the time they get up there and ask 1,000 questions, we're ending up pounding a milkshake and 6 of the things on the menu. And you can tell not everybody's all the way there. And we get confused about, okay, well, let's just take a step back and not even say it's that extreme. Like, oh, I can't tell why I'm not losing weight. I've got my coffee in the morning. I don't even eat breakfast. And then, I have like 1,500 calories by the whole rest of the day from what I'm tracking, kind of. Well, if you're going to Starbucks and getting your, what do you call a large or a medium, whatever it is.
Venti, grande.
Whatever that is.
Grande.
And it's actually a milkshake. That's not actually a coffee. It's just a giant milkshake with a splash of coffee in it. Well, you've got, some of those must have 1,000 calories in them. They have to.
For sure.
So you have these people who I will just state are metabolically unhealthy. You can
Very
tell
PC of you.
they're relying on some caffeine to jumpstart their minds and begin the day. Why are we here? Well, because we've kind of glassed over what normal is, or we've accepted what normal is. We go to Starbucks. We get our breakfast. It's normal to be severely overweight. It's normal to not have any energy all day. And in a different extent, like I was in that same thing. I had Barrett's esophagus for 10, 12 years. I dealt with chronic fatigue for another 2 or 3. And I'm like, is this normal? This stinks. I'm always tired. I feel like a shell of myself. And you just get used to that. But then you find the thing that works. And it is the most glorious thing you could possibly experience. It takes time. It's not overnight. But over the course of the next 12 months, yes, 12 months, of like, I think this is the right path. I'm going to stick to it no matter what. And you're like, oh my gosh, things are getting better. And they get a little better. And 2 years down that path, post Barrett's esophagus, I finally felt like a human again. And I look back and yeah, I'm bulking. So I'm eating a ton of processed foods. It's fine. I'm not shaming anybody. Like I did the same shit. Like I need 4,000 calories. I can't do that all on, steak and chicken and potatoes. Like it's just too much.
You didn't do any cardio. You didn't
No cardio. tons of processed foods. Even though I was eating a lot of nutrient dense foods as well, I would have calorie stackers with whatever the heck I wanted. And I ate constantly. There was no break between my meals. It was constantly eating because I needed 4,000, 5,000 calories at my peak when I was 225, 227. And I'm like, well, why don't I feel good? Probably sleeping 6 hours, broken sleep. And then you refine things. You space your meals out. You primarily consume whole food, nutrient dense options. Moderation is fine, guys. I'm not hating on everything. You sleep well. You manage stress. You get some meditation in there. And then you stick to that thing for an elongated period of time. And you're like, so wait, this is how you can feel. And then I'm hypersensitive. I'm thinking I'm going to feel better. I can tolerate those things better when I do want to go out and have a fun meal with the family, get some ice cream, go grab a burger or whatever. And you just instantly feel like, bleh. Like that wasn't even worth it. I didn't want that. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And you're like, well, why did I feel chronic fatigue every single day for 3 years? Well, this was the norm. I was doing this all the time. So it's like, this isn't actually normal. It's just what we're doing regularly. If we change the things we're doing regularly, we change how we feel. We change how we look. We change how we think. We change how we react. Everything starts to improve. So
and literally everything, not just how you feel, but like I think about our relationship back then. And I think about like this was before kids really. I mean, I guess maybe when Kai was a baby, but we were just in not a great place because of how you felt, and you were just angry, and you literally were a shell of yourself. And I didn't fully understand like why, like, is this who I married? Is this who he is? But I like didn't understand like how much that impacted his mental health and how he felt and just us being able to connect. So it's crazy. Like you are a completely different person. And obviously like everything that you're doing, not just like what you're eating, but the meditation and all that stuff has played a role. But you like if you met Josh 10 years ago now and you met him today, like if you put those two Joshes next to each other, they are completely different, not just by look, not just by health standards, but by like how you are as a dad, how you are as a husband. So I just want to throw that in there too. Like if you are struggling right now and you do feel like a shell of yourself, taking the time, because like he said, it takes time, but taking the time to put yourself first is going to benefit every aspect and every person in your life. And we don't just say that to say that. We say that because we've lived it.
And a six-pack doesn't equate to health. I had a six-pack during that journey. That isn't, so like all the things I just mentioned, you can look one way and in regards to your actual health, tell an entirely different story. The biggest thing outside of energy, because energy was number one and it's related to what I'm about to say, but through this whole journey, my biggest frustration was with my mood and my ability to regulate my emotions and to elevate people around me, essentially. Just, you can feel energy. Aura is a real thing. And my aura was a very, very negative thing at that time. Why you married me at that point, I'm not really sure. I'm glad we got here, but things were real funky back then. But yeah, that's... I
want to come back to, I don't want to cut you off, Josh.
No, I'm done. You're good.
I want to come back to something that you said, because while you make a great point and you brought up a great example, I want to characterize what you just talked about for a minute. And that is that discomfort was your trigger to change. And I think like you and I have both gotten to a point in our more like holistic healing journey side of things where the pain of staying the same had to outweigh the pain of changing and the difficulty of making that change. And I think for a lot of people, that's where it starts. Like the discomfort is a trigger for the change. And it's human nature that we want to seek the path of least resistance. So we don't typically make those changes or act until our current state becomes so intolerable that we are faced with the idea that no one's coming to save me. No doctor, no team, no one's coming to save me. This is on me. And we both got to that point. And I see that echoed like in our client applications all the time, because we have a few questions in there about like why now and why us. And I can't tell you how often someone, I mean, I could tell you guys know, but how often someone writes down something like, I just can't take it anymore. Or like, I've hit my breaking point. And it's okay if discomfort is your trigger. Like I do want to say it oftentimes will be. Now, that said, even if discomfort gets someone started, it isn't usually enough to sustain long-term change. I love it being a trigger, but you can't rely on that discomfort because once you start to feel better, then what? Then what keeps you going? So fear and pain, they lose their edge once the immediate problem that you had kind of becomes less urgent because now you're working on it. And that's where purpose and your values and your habit building start to really, really, really matter. So that discomfort can often initiate the change, but what you're aspiring to be or to become and your identity and your purpose and your values, that's going to be what then sustains that change later on. Because eventually the initial discomfort trigger won't be there because you won't be in that position anymore. So now what keeps you going? Right? Why do you still try to work on your health, Josh, even though you healed your Barrett's? It's not discomfort anymore.
It's fear of that ever happening again, to be honest, part of it. The other part is I want to be the best version of myself for my family, for our team, for everyone around me. I want to make real change. So I know I wasn't doing much of any positive in that phase of my life. I need to continue to learn and to grow and to be a better, like compared to who I am now. I need to be better next year. I need to be better 5 years from that in order to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. So I'm with you entirely. Completely agree. It's, yeah, fear gets you started. Frustration gets you started, but you needed an ultimate purpose. And my purpose was I wasn't there for the people I love. And I couldn't, it's not that I didn't want to be. I couldn't be. I had to be there for myself to survive the day at that point in time. And I will never go back to that. I want to follow up with a question. Why are those who are in the situation they're in, which is the majority of the US population, are they not uncomfortable enough to want to make that change and create that trigger? Or would you say it's a barrier to entry as far as knowledge? Okay, well, what I know I need to do something, but what is that something? Because all this stuff seems crazy. So there should be a trigger. There's plenty of unhealth.
Yeah.
Comorbidities are a huge factor for, is it most at this point? It is. It's most people in our country, starting at a very young age. So why isn't there that discomfort that jumpstarts it?
My personal opinion is that it's multifaceted. I think there's a few different reasons. I think it's hard to claim lack of resources. There might be a lack of resources, maybe financial resources or something else, but I think it's hard to claim lack of knowledge when we have the internet, right? And you could look something up. Where I do think knowledge becomes an issue is that there is now so much information that people are overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. And I find that the people who like our content, for instance, like I love content wise to simplify things, make things easier for people to understand so the barrier of entry is lower and they feel like they have a place to get started. That is really, really important for people. I think there is discomfort, but I still am going to default back to you're not uncomfortable enough unless you're pursuing change. Because like Alessandra said before, if that's just your normal now, and like you hit a tired crash at 3 p.m. every day and then you drink a coffee and oops, I'll fixed it. Oh, better. Like what's the result of your discomfort? If you are still doing a great job at work and you still are doing a great job with your kids or whatever else and your marriage is fine and you know, you could put food on your table and whatever else. Like, are you uncomfortable enough? And I'm trying to figure out if I want to say this without getting myself into trouble.
Send it.
I know, Josh is like, full send. Okay. I think there's also, and I'm going to make some clarifications here after I say this because I don't want this to be misconstrued. I think there are also some societal things in place around messaging and health and body image and body types, i.e. body positivity, health at every size, those things. And while I can totally get down, disclaimer here, while I can totally get down with the message of we want people to feel good about themselves, we want people to feel good in their skin, we want people to exercise no matter how big or small they are, like yes, 100% to all of those messages. I also think that there are ways that those movements do us a disservice in terms of the messaging that we give to people. And it makes me wonder if the discomfort levels or the line for where you draw discomfort, it makes me wonder if that line gets blurred at all, because there's messaging like, but I'm supposed to love my body. I'm supposed to love who I am at this size, regardless of being this size, or regardless of, I don't want to exercise, and like, I should just love who I am and I should accept this. And again, like, all for body acceptance, but I think it gets messy.
Mm-hmm. I think you said that perfectly. I don't think that's
okay. I'm not going to land on a Reddit thread for that.
No. And I agree with everything you just said too.
Good. You could be on the Reddit thread with me.
Right there with you. Best.
Agreed.
I also think a lot of it is just like who they believe themselves to be. And this, I did a post on this last week that hit home with a lot of people. But I think, if you believe that other people have it easier, other people are just naturally healthier, other people are just naturally whatever, that it's too hard for you and that you just can't ever do it. And I think a lot of people have these limiting self-beliefs that it has to be this very specific way, or it has to come easier, it has to be natural, or their parents introduced this to them from a young age, so it's all so much easier for them. Yeah, that might be true, but that doesn't mean that you can't also have it too. And I think a lot of it is just what they perceive themselves to be and who they identify themselves as.
I want to give sorry, Josh, I want to jump in with just a quick example, a tangible example that applies to what I was speaking about, because you may be listening and saying like, oh, no one's not getting in shape because of those movements. We had a client just a few weeks ago. I was chatting with one of our coaches about this, who was really, really struggling in her coaching because she came in with a goal of wanting to improve her health and also wanting to improve her aesthetics. And somewhere along the way, it came out to her coach that she was feeling really bad about the fact that she wanted to lose weight. And she was feeling really shameful about the fact that she wanted to lose weight, because she had been following a lot of accounts and receiving a lot of messaging around body acceptance and just loving yourself and body positivity. And she was really, really internally conflicted between, I want to feel better and look better, but I also am supposed to be accepting myself and loving myself as I am. And I think that's where I say like things get messy for people, because now you have someone who's trying to better themselves and she's so confused and feels so conflicted because she's received so much messaging about, yes, you should love yourself, but you're doing it wrong. You should care about your health, but you're doing it wrong if weight loss is your path to that. And so at the time I had gone on my stories as like a reminder of, hey, you're allowed to love yourself and work on yourself at the same time.
I think that's also postpartum messaging too. And you had a great post on this last week. I think it was last week, your swipe post from last week, that just messages that don't help moms. And I think a lot of postpartum mothers are given the message of, just do it later, like enjoy your baby. Someone said that to me, just enjoy your baby. Why are you focusing on this now? Because exercise is not just about looking a certain way. That's why I'm focusing on this now. I want to feel my best. Like, I deserve to feel my best for my baby right now. I deserve to be the mom that I want to be. And I'm not going to be that mom if I just stop all exercise and stop focusing on my nutrition and stop focusing on all these little things that I do. That's only going to make me feel worse. So I think postpartum certainly gets tied into that messaging too. And it's like, just accept your body for what it is. It had a baby. It did all of these things. Great. I love that. I agree. You don't have to just accept it for what it is if you're not happy in it either.
I'm going to pivot away from the postpartum thing and back specifically to the body positivity. I think you both spoke to that very eloquently. I think if I went to tackle that first, I probably would have curb stomped it.
And we'd definitely be on a Reddit thread.
Definitely be on a Reddit thread the way I could have. Yeah. So I want to circle back to it though, because this was kind of what I was alluding to before in regards to why isn't there that discomfort? To look at society in the US as a whole and bring it back to that, you've got this movement, you have this encouragement to love as you are, which is great. We can still love as we are while improving ourselves. And for not even worrying about the aesthetic portion, yes, it does have to improve if you're morbidly obese. It's just how it happens. But for your health and bringing yourself up and to actually live a long, happy, healthy life on top of 1,000 other factors. But specific to the discomfort, when we look around, and this is what everybody looks like, and this is how everybody feels, and this is just the norm, A, tells yourself this is normal. B, there is less discomfort because you are the majority. You're not the one significantly overweight friend in the group of athletes. Like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. I should probably start moving more and cleaning up my diet, and I think I'm going to feel better and I'll perform better. I'll be happier and all these great things are going to happen. That is not the case. Like, we're growing up overweight. So that was the one part of it. My second one, I want to circle back to you guys with a question, because a lot of this does feel like you got to do so many things. I got to sleep by this time, and I got to do all these ridiculous habits, and I have to train so much, and I have to run 45 minutes a day, and blah, blah, blah. Does fitness, the art, the act, the science of being fit, of being healthy, does this now feel like a cult? Do they look around and be like, oh yeah, I'm so turned off, I'm not doing these things, because it's something that the vast minority now belong to, and it feels like they have to do all these specific things and buy into these religious regimens in order to be a certain way, a la healthy and fit and moving and in the gym. Can you see any spin on that where this lifestyle now feels like a cult and is a turnoff to some people?
To me, I guess I'm one of the cult members, so I don't know. It's hard, right? It's hard for me to be like, it's not a cult. I think to us, I would, if someone said that to me, let me repurpose this question. If someone said to me, I don't want to do fitness, it seems too exclusive, it seems too cult-like, I would challenge what they mean by the word cult, because I do think that there is a community within fitness, and that community is something that, like, we have found our best friends and own multiple businesses together because of that cult like community that we have been in with each other. I do think, Josh, that there is absolutely something to, I am following a bunch of these cult members. I'm seeing all the things that they're doing. There's no way that I could be doing all of that. So I'd just rather not try. And I think that's where, again, we have myself, Alessandra, you, other leaders in the industry who are talking about, like, just move. Do whatever you want with that hour. It doesn't have to be at 5 a.m. Doesn't have to be this. Doesn't have to be that. Just move your body or lift once a week or whatever it is. Something is always better than nothing. And I think we've been really good at taking that approach in from a content creation standpoint. But I think if you're following even 5 different fitness people and they all seemingly have the perfect routines, or they're doing their cardio and one person's running and one person's Pelotoning and this person's powerlifting and this person's hypertrophy building, and you don't have the background knowledge of health, fitness, exercise, science, nutrition, any of that, you're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know who I'm supposed to be doing what. There's 5 different fitness people that I follow and they're all doing different stuff. To me, it's like, yeah, that's a great example that health and fitness can look different to everyone. But to a consumer who doesn't have that background knowledge, they might be saying, I don't know where to start. And I don't think I could fit in the red light therapy and the sauna. Who has the time for all of these things, and a run and a Peloton and a lift? I can't do that. I'm not built like those people. And then it becomes like this subconscious distancing because I don't think it's attainable.
I think about how many clients we've talked to over the years who are new to fitness and are new to going to the gym and are scared to start going to an actual gym. And I think about the first time I walked in, not the first time I walked into a gym, but when I started going to, it was Gold's Gym. The Montanari Brothers powerhouse gym now. It used to be Gold's Gym, but it's like the grungy bodybuilding, like jacked, probably all taking steroids, like the most intense gym you could probably go to.
It's so wonderful.
Well, it's
so
great.
motivational.
But my point here is, as a little college girl with blonde hair and is 5'3" and tiny, she walks into this gym and I'm like, whoa. And I walked in alone. Didn't know you yet. Wasn't going to, I was going to basic gyms beforehand. And you walk in and it's like, you kind of do get like, whoa, it's kind of scary in here. But you keep showing up. You become one of these people, even though I look nothing like them. They kind of take you in, and they end up being the nicest, most down to earth people, but on the outside they look like scary monsters. Like that's how they are though. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. Maybe you're not going to an intense gym, but walking into a gym can feel the same for a lot of people. And I think it can feel very overwhelming and scary. And it's like, what do I do? This person's doing that thing. Should I copy them? This person's running on the treadmill first. Should I copy them? And you kind of like become so much more concerned with what everyone else is doing rather than what you're doing. And you don't realize that those people that are showing up there regularly probably didn't even notice you were there. And at the same time, once you do start becoming more of like this regular gym goer, they welcome you in, they take you under their wing. So I do think that a lot of people have this fear surrounding fitness almost because it does feel like a lot, and it can feel like a lot of things, and it can just feel like a lot and overwhelming just walking into the gym. Whatever it is for you, like you have to, it's almost like you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and submerge yourself into the cult to see that it's not really a cult and is more so a new group of friends. And that's the truth.
I think that's a really good springboard and launch pad into the next segment of this conversation, specifically to training. For the parent, and we're going to focus on parents specifically, but this could still apply to you if you just work really long days or, whatever the situation is, you have a ton of responsibilities. What do you say to the person who is waking up on 6 hours of sleep and they're staring at the baby monitor and they're trying to get the workout in, the baby works out or wakes up halfway through it, and they just find this repetitive cycle and it just seems like they cannot hit their stride? Words of encouragement, advice, direction. What does that person do? Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no-obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
So obviously context dependent here, but I tend to default to the phrase nothing changes if nothing changes. And so if how you were trying to do it is repeatedly not working, you need a different plan. If you are constantly trying to do it during nap time and then the baby doesn't nap and this is a recurring theme, then that's not the time for you, unfortunately. And maybe it will be 2 months from now when the baby's schedule changes again all over again. But I think it's easy to try something and then be like, oh, that just didn't work for me. And now I bow out of it altogether instead of saying, okay, I need a different course of action. Goal is still to get in 3 workouts a week. How can I either switch the day that I'm working out on or the time that I'm working out at to better accommodate this? Because right now, how I'm trying to squeeze it in isn't working.
And I think this is a good parallel. Like anytime your baby, like if you're trying to sleep train, for example, the most important thing is consistency and to not let one bad night of sleep affect the next night. And what I mean by that is like how you respond to it. So I think you can apply the same sort of mentality to your workouts, like you said, Joelle. And it's going to look different for different people too. Like I think of when I was a first time mom with Kai, who had the baby monitor, he was terrible at like learning to sleep and putting himself to sleep by himself. So like I would try to put him down for a nap. I would try to sneak downstairs to work out in our basement gym at the time. He'd be crying. I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to like let him cry for 5 more minutes and then see if he goes to sleep. He'd still be screaming. I'd get through one set. I'd have to go upstairs, try to like do all the right things that, you're supposed to do with baby sleep. And he was not good sleeper in those early months. So for me, that's kind of when we started to parent in shifts. And like, I know that's not everybody's scenario, but for us, we figured out, okay, this is what we're dealing with here. How do we figure out how to work and get our workouts in and do these things that we know that we need to do and not go absolutely crazy? So that's when we started. I just would hand off things to Josh for a little bit, and then he would have his time and hands off stuff to me. But I think you kind of have to sit down, like you said, and figure out, here's my day, here's what we're working with, here's the help I have or don't have, here's the window of opportunity. How do I fit in these things in these places? And I think it also comes down to understanding that if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So you have to really figure out, like, what is your top 3 for the day? And it may be the laundry, your workout, and I don't know, getting one task done for your job if you're working. But you have to figure out, like, what is the top 3 most important things that need to be done today, and how do I implement those? And it can't be this mile-long list of to-dos that you have to get done, because, I mean, we all have those lists, but I will be upfront with you, they are not happening in a day. So pick your top 3, prioritize the things that need to be done in this season, and roll with that as much as you can.
For those with toddlers, how often are you differentiating, I need this for me, or this hasn't been happening, so I got to bring them in? Is there a specific balance you would try to strike? Would you always work out with them, with the kids? Would you choose to do whatever you needed to never work out with them? How do you navigate that balance for your mental sanity?
It's different for
I think
each
it
person.
totally depends. Like Alessandra, from what I can see, your preference is to get a workout in early in the morning without the kids. Doesn't always work out that way for whatever reason. Maybe the extra sleep. Maybe you chose to do gratitude journal and whatever else instead in the morning. If you have to do a later lift in the day, then you're faced with, okay, I could either do it during nap time, and I'm still going to have at least one kid with me if it's summer vacation, possibly 2 kids with me, possibly 3 kids with me if it's not during nap time, right? And you know that you also take that risk of someone might wake up during that and need to be nursed back down or whatever else. And you also, I don't want to say the risk, you also have to taper expectations of what that workout might look like if the kids are with you. But then I also know other people, like our friend Annie Miller. Annie's like, I simply will not do it if I have to have my kids there. Like, my workout is my time for me, and there will not be children involved. If it has to be that my kids are like with me for a workout, then I just won't work out. So I think part of that really depends on preference, but certainly you could speak to that a whole lot more than I can about needing to pivot with or without your kids around workout wise.
Yeah, I think toddlers are also tricky. At least Cora's age of a toddler is tricky. She's getting better with more exposure to our garage gym. But like when I first started bringing her out, like after I had Wes, so she was probably like 19, 20 months ish, she just is a flight risk. Like, she will sprint to the street, she will sprint to the backyard where I cannot see her from the garage, and like, you really have to worry about her like actually running away and like getting into something she's not supposed to be doing. So I would say that's probably the hardest part of the workout, is like just making sure I have eyes on her, because I was used to Kai, who's 4.5 years older than her, and he got to the point where he would just chill in the garage with me and play with his trucks, and like he listened and like would understand, like, okay, when mommy's working out, we have to stay here. But it wasn't always like that with him either, and it's that age of toddlerhood that's kind of tricky. So it is adjusting your expectations, understanding the workout's going to take a lot longer than you had planned for if you were just by yourself, which can be frustrating and might not be doable for some people. But I would say, you also have to give them a chance, and you also have to understand, like, the time that you are in the gym with them is still quality time with you. I think a lot of moms have this approach and this mindset that if you're working out with your kids, that you should be playing with them and it's not really spending time with them. And I disagree with that. I think that time with them in the gym is one of my favorite times and their favorite times with me too. Like, we have little dance parties between sets, and I teach them how to work out, and it is a lot of connection. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of, if you're trying to work out with your kids around, it's not that you're ignoring them the whole time. It's like they're there with you, and that is still quality time. You might not be doing what they necessarily want to do, whether it's playing with their trucks or Barbies, but you're still together, and that still counts.
My strong preference is to train alone. That's a lot of work creativity time for me, and unwinding in the sense of like decompress what's going on in my head and like let certain important things matriculate to the top, like that is my flow state. That is where a lot of stuff happens. So I prefer to be alone for that, like entirely alone. Like I love training in the gym, not going to the gym anymore. Our gym, home gym. That said, there is a balance where, like, let's say I get to the garage 15 minutes later because I start training typically at 6. I'll eat around 5:30, keep working. I'm up at 4:30, and then I'll start at 6, hopefully be done by 7 when they actually wake up. There are times when I'm running late, and I don't mind running in to grab Cora or Kai, or I'll tell Kai you can hang out in here or you can come out with me or whatever. And they're fine. Like it's funny again, as far as them being entirely different with me versus you. Cora will stay in the gym with me the entire time. Like she'll sit on Kai's quad. We'll throw on Taylor Swift. She'll come sit on my lap between sets.
Now she's better now, but you did not have her out with you maybe a couple months ago when she was psychotic.
Was it the gym? Were you in the gym working out when she fell out of the wagon? I remember that.
Oh
I don't
my
know if that was
God.
gym
No, that
based or if she
wasn't
was
a
just
workout.
playing in the driveway.
I was actually cleaning the car out, vacuuming my car.
I
So that's what
remember
I
that.
get for taking my eyes off. And
Well,
then,
goose egg.
yeah, Kai was pulling her in the wagon and she wasn't strapped in the wagon. She was like maybe 1. I don't know. Was that last summer?
It was a while ago, I feel like.
Yeah, and she just like face planted into the driveway and got a big old goose egg on her forehead. She's obviously fine now. But that was
Maybe that's
my
why she's so
sign.
crazy.
Probably. That makes a lot of sense.
Were you dropped on your head as a baby?
But
Kinda.
I think the age here, like she's great now. Like if she's out in the gym with me now, she'll sit on the quad or she'll, she wants to like copy my movements and like she's more involved, where that like 18 to 22-ish age, they're just like, I don't know. She was on another level.
Pivoting from the kids. Do you train with Brant, Joelle?
No.
What about?
Never.
No, not at all. Never.
No, because we both train at the same time, but I go to the gym and he's home, which works out well because someone's got to watch the kids or at least watch the monitor. Like we can't both go to the gym obviously at the same time. So like there's another parent who from Sloan's school who works out at my gym, and her husband. So like one of them comes at 4 to the gym. They train 4 to 5:30. Then the other one goes home. The other parent then comes from 5:30 to 7 and they switch. I'm like, ain't no way I'm getting up at 4 to do that. So it works out well that he prefers to work out at home because that means we could both work out at the same time. But no, we have not. No.
It's hard. In our home gym setting, I will say. I used to like working out with you when we would go to the like an actual gym. We just we bump butts too much. Like this, like I can't squat with Josh. I'm literally a foot shorter than him, so it's not like we could
more
share.
slapping butts than bumping butts.
We can't that too. But like it's hard. Like we just don't have enough equipment to go around to optimally both get our workouts in. If we have to do it, we will. But we did run together as a family yesterday.
I saw that.
That was kind of nice, I will say.
I didn't love it.
You're going to be the next family that they all do their little runs together.
Nope, wasn't.
I can't think of her name, but I know you.
That wasn't the original.
You weren't happy about it?
Though. No, put that aside. I know that wasn't. He wanted to go for a run with me without the kids.
We had time out. It's my turn. We get no quality time, and we had talking like, oh, now that I'm an avid runner, like we could do one run a week. Maybe we go to breakfast after.
Now that I'm a hybrid athlete.
Now that I'm a hybrid athlete. Now that I've been running for 6 days. So I'm like, we don't do anything together. We really can't go do anything together right now. Like this weekend, once a week, like we could do that. So we had talked about that. And then we wake up and like, I can call my mom, see if we can just drop them off for an hour or whatever.
That was the problem.
No, the entire plan, we had not once talked about running with everybody. Not one time. And then we wake up, I'm like, I'll call my mom. And she's like, oh, the last minute, blah, blah, blah. Let's take them. Let's take everybody. And I'm like,
hear me out, though. Hear me out. If we called your mom the night before and made an actual plan so that when we woke up, we could get the kids and drop them off, sure. We can't wake up, I feed Wes, it's already 7:30, and then you call your mom, and then we try to get them over there, and then we have to run and get Wes back to nap time. Like, we need to plan it the right way next time. And that's why I was like...
Say it's fair, Joelle. My parents live 3 minutes from the trail, so we drop them off.
You didn't even know if they wanted
back.
the kids over, though.
They
That's
would
my
have taken
point.
them. They would have taken them.
You gotta ask.
It would have been fine. We would have been back, scoot them up, come back for nap time.
As a mom who is often carrying the mental load of all of the planning and all of the this and all of the feedings and the naps and the this, that, blah, 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 I can empathize with the idea that when it was not pre-planned, that becomes more overwhelming. And then it's just like, let's just bring everyone because that feels less overwhelming than
Thank you.
something that
is
wasn't
all it
pre-planned.
was. That is all it
Yeah.
was.
No.
What time does Wes nap every day? Both times. And when does he feed?
9 to 9:45.
No, you're already wrong. See? So there you go.
I knew we had time. Is all that I knew. I knew we had time to make it work.
Well, you have plenty of time to have.
I would love to do that next week, I will say.
Nope. All done.
But putting that aside, why didn't you like the actual run with Kai biking next to you? What was so bad about it? You didn't even have to push the stroller.
He did a great job. I was very proud of him, and I would do that with him on the occasion. Like I said,
You were
once in
just
a while,
salty
grab
that it
board.
wasn't.
I wasn't
with
even salty,
Alessandra.
Joelle. I wasn't even salty. I was not salty. I said it to you, and you started turning it into a thing, and I said, I'm just voicing my displeasure. I didn't make it a thing. I was still joyful with the kids.
I'm just
Told Kai how-
verbally expressing my disappointment.
I am not going to bury this. I'm going to tell you this is not what I had in mind. This is not I wanted to spend time with you. That's what I wanted to do. Kai did. He kicked ass. He did a full
He
3
biked for
miles.
3
He was
miles.
flying.
That's a lot.
He did a great job. Like I would do, and he's getting better. Like he came home and did more laps with my parents like an hour
He was
later.
not tired at all.
No, did not do
Love
anything.
that.
So I was very impressed. And if I've got some flat runs and some shorter ones, like I'll take him with me. He's gonna keep up, but he'll do it. He did great. Very, very proud. So no, it wasn't like it was fine. And if we play like if that was the plan the whole time, like hey, let's go to there's a park I think in like West Hartford that goes around a lake and it's flat and it'd be easy for the stroller and the bike and like that would be great. We do that. We go to lunch, have a whole thing. My frustration was being able to spend time with my wife, which we haven't done in 10 months. That was my frustration.
That's fair.
Alessandra's frustration is that it was not pre-planned. So
Yeah.
there you go. Now you both
We're
know for
moving
next
on.
time.
We had our therapy
The
session on the
plan
podcast
was
for the
never
day.
to do it
I will
with
be the
kids.
mediator.
Joelle's our new therapist.
You're already fired.
He's like, she's taking sides.
Mediator 101. I see what you're
we'll add
saying.
that to your Reddit thread.
Yeah. Shit therapist. Add that.
Anything else you guys want to plug in? I think we did a good job sharing context. Wanted to keep this one more conversational, let you guys see if anyone relates to it while sprinkling in some data nuggets, I suppose. But anything else you guys want to throw in on that? All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this conversation with the reminder that change doesn't come in one big moment. It's built in the ways you keep showing up. So take what you learned today and build the best version of yourself for tomorrow. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik,
At Joelle Samantha.
I'm at Josh Skutnik.
and everything else you need is linked in the show notes.